Hello, everybody. I'm Mustafa Aydin, and I'm going to give a lesson about fundraising strategies and methods, but the subtitle will be Engaging Donors and Building Relationships. And this lecture is based on an Erasmus project. It is connected with an Erasmus project which is called Up to You. And this lesson is a part of this project. Previously, we had 4 lessons about this issue, namely fundraising strategies and methods for organizations. In the first lesson, we had an overview of fundraising strategies and methods. In the second lesson, we identified funding sources and opportunities. In the third and fourth lesson, we had a look about developing a fundraising plan, a well-structured fundraising plan. And this is our 5th lesson about this issue, fundraising strategies and methods. And today we are going to deal with engaging donors and building relationships for organizations. And we will have 2 lessons for this issue. And the first part will be engaging donors. And in the second part, we are going to deal with building relationships, etc. So today we are going to deal with engaging donors. Our topic, our issue will be engaging donors today. And let's start. Engaging donors and building relationship, and part A is engaging donors. Let's see and have a look at engaging donors. What is engaging donors? And we will see. Section 1, Introduction to Donor Engagement. And the content of this covers donor engagement refers to the processes and strategies that organizations use to build strong, lasting relationship with their donors. It's about making donors feel valued and connected to the mission of the organization. For example, the British Red Cross actively engages donors by communicating their impact and how contributions directly support their humanitarian efforts. Understanding donor engagement. This covers what does donor engagement mean? And let's have a look at the details. Donor engagement is the ongoing relationship between an organization and its donors. This relationship involves regular communication, recognition of contributions, and opportunities for involvement. Engagement transforms one-time donors into loyal supporters who feel connected to the mission. So it is important to understand donors. So understanding donor engagement is important. The importance of engaging donors and why engagement matters. Why? Because the details, engaging donors not only sustains funding, but also enhances loyalty. For instance, the European Cultural Foundation emphasizes donor relationship, leading to increased recurring donations and a sense of community among supporters. So this is not just based on the monetary items. So it's important to value the donors and to make them feel valuable. The donor life cycle, the donor life cycle covers phases of donor engagement, and the details of this. The donor life cycle includes awareness, consideration, decision-making, retention, and advocacy. Organizations like Save the Children tailor their strategies to each phase, ensuring donors feel valued at every step. Types of donors. Let's have a look at types of donors, what types of donors we have. And content, individuals versus institutional donors. And details of this, individual donors contribute personally, often motivated by emotional connections. So as the people are emotional creatures, they are motivated by emotions. So if you have some emotional connections with your donors, it will be good for your organization to get more funds, to get more donation. In contrast, institutional donors like foundations and corporations focus on alignment with their corporate social responsibility goals. So big corporations, and they have some social responsibilities, so they perform their social responsibilities by donating. Understanding these differences is key to effective engagement. So it is important to know the differences between institutional donors and personal individual donors. So if you know the differences between these, in that case, you can get a strategy based on these differences. And for each groups of donors, you can apply a different strategy. For personal or individual donors, you apply a different strategy. For institutional donors, you apply another strategy to get more profitable results. Motivations behind giving. What is the motivation? Why do people donate? So we should understand why people have a kind of behavior called donation. Donors are motivated by personal values, social impact, tax benefits, and emotional connections to causes. For example, the European Social Fund appeals to social responsibility by funding projects that reduce unemployment. So this is a kind of motivation for them. So it's a kind of it creates a motivation. Sorry, it creates a donation behavior for the donors, creating reducing unemployment and creating employment. Effective communication strategies. You should use effective communication strategies to engage donors. And this is based on how to communicate with donors. And details about this, regular updates and personalized messages are essential. Organizations like UNICEF use newsletters and social media to maintain communication, ensuring donors feel connected to their impact. So this is important to get connected with your donors and to make them loyal and to make them valued. The power of storytelling. What is the power of storytelling in the donor engagement? This means crafting compelling narratives. So you should have good stories about your activities, about your grant or fundraising activities. Storytelling illustrates the impact of donations. Oxfam effectively uses stories to show how donations support projects worldwide, creating an emotional connection with donors. So you can create or connect your donors with emotions to your company or to your organization or to the organization activity. Personalization and engagement, that is tailoring your approach. And the details of this: personalized communication fosters strong relationship, addressing donors by name and acknowledging their specific interests, and can significantly enhance their connection to the organization. It's also important to make people special by calling them by their names. For example, when teachers in classes call their students by their names, they feel a bit privileged, and maybe students think that teacher know my name. So in this case, students feel a bit more privileged or more valued. In the same way, and the donors also are emotional creatures. So it is important to name or to call them by their names. Building trust with transparency. Why transparency is key? It is important. Why transparency is important? Transparency builds trust. So if you are transparent in your activities and how you use your funds and which you collect from your donors, and if you issue or publicly issue your expenditures about your grants or your funds, and then in that case you will be transparent and your donors will see where the funds are spent. So you will be transparent, so the donors will trust you. Organizations like Transparency International provide detailed financial reports and updates on project outcomes, reassuring donors about their contributions impact. Recognition and appreciation. This is important case. Acknowledging donor contributions. So you should acknowledge your donor contributions. You should praise them. Details. Regular recognition enhances donor loyalty. For instance, Cancer Research UK sends personalized thank you letters and features donors in their newsletters, making them feel valued. Organizing engaging events. This is also another important to engage your donors with your organization or with your activities. The content of this events as engagement opportunities. And details, fundraising galas, donor appreciation dinners, and workshops create personal connections. The British Red Cross hosts events that foster community among donors while raising funds for their initiatives. So you can organize some events like some dinners for your donors, and you come together and you praise them. So you organize these events on behalf of them for their honor. So in that case, they will be feeling very valued, and they will think that their contributions are important. Engaging volunteers as donors. This is another issue. And the link between volunteering and donating. So that means that what is the link between volunteering and donating? The details of this: volunteers often become donors. Habitat for Humanity effectively engages volunteers, many of whom contribute financially after experiencing the organization's mission firsthand. So then, first of all, then by your efforts or activities, you can contribute or convert your volunteers to donors, and then you can affect them emotionally. Then they can become your donors, not only volunteers anymore. Measuring engagement success. And the content of this, evaluating your efforts. So how you evaluate your efforts, and details, metrics like donor retention rates and engagement levels help assess the effectiveness of strategies. The European Commission utilizes surveys and data analytics to measure the impact of their donor engagement initiatives. So measuring engagement is important for your success. Case study, for example, the European Social Fund can be used as a case study for the donor engagement. And the content of it is engaging donors through social impact. And details of this case study is the European Social Fund supports projects that reduce unemployment and social exclusion, actively engaging various stakeholders. Their transparent reporting and community involvement build strong donor relationships. Another case study is Erasmus Plus program, and the content of this funding education initiatives. Erasmus Plus program funds education initiatives, and the Erasmus Plus program facilitates educational exchanges across Europe. By engaging educational institutions and sponsors, it exemplifies effective donor collaboration, fostering long-term relationships. Building partnership with donors. This means collaborating for greater impact. And details of this: partnerships amplify resources. Organizations like WWF often team up with local businesses for joint initiatives, creating a win-win scenario that enhances their impact. Developing a donor engagement strategy. What is this? This is creating a strategic plan, and it outlines goals and tactics for engagement. A structured approach helps organizations like ActionAid focus their efforts and measure success in donor relationships. Leveraging social media for engagement is also important to leverage social media, and its content is engaging donors online. Details of this: social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter are powerful tools. Organizations can share stories, updates, and calls to action as seen in Amnesty International's campaigns, which effectively mobilize donor support. So you can share your donor stories on your website, on Twitter or Facebook or some other platforms that which will be very useful for donor to be loyal and to make them feel valued. Using technology in engagement, this means that CRM systems and data management, customer relationship management systems and data management. Customer relationship management systems allow organizations to track donor interactions. For example, charity water utilizes data to personalize communication, ensuring donors feel connected to their mission. The role of corporate social responsibility, engaging corporate donors. So this is basically related to engaging corporate donors, and corporations usually have some social responsibility. So they use funds for performing their social responsibility duties. And details of this, corporations engage in philanthropy as part of their CSR initiatives. The Coca-Cola Foundation, for example, partners with nonprofits, aligning its funding with social goals, creating stronger partnerships. Ethics in donor engagement. Let's talk about some ethics in donor engagement. The content covers maintaining ethical standards for donations, for relationship with donors, and for all activities for fundraising. And details of this, upholding ethical standards builds trust. Organizations must ensure transparency and avoid conflicts of interest, as demonstrated by the Charity Commissions for England and Wales in its regulatory practices. Engaging the next generation of donors. This is basically covers the content of strategies for youth engagement. So details is utilize social media and technology to attract younger donors. Organizations like Make-A-Wish Foundation engage youth through volunteer opportunities and enhancing their commitment. So it's important to also take attention of the young people for creating future donors for the organizations, for the activities. Understanding economic influences on giving and how economics affect donations. This content covers how economics affect donations. So people are economical creatures. So in some cases, when they do not have the good economic conditions, in that case, the amount of their donations will vary. Maybe in some cases they will donate more. In other situations, they will donate less. For example, economic conditions impact donor behavior. During economic downturns like the 2008 financial crisis, charities saw a decrease in donations, emphasizing the need for adaptive strategies. Seeking feedback from donors, and the content covers importance of donor input. Details of this, regular feedback helps organizations understand donor preferences. Surveys from organizations like the NSPCC allow them to adjust engagement strategies based on donor insights. Networking for effective engagement. The content covers building connections with the donor community. And the details of this, attending conferences and networking events helps connect with potential donors. European nonprofit conferences provide platforms for organizations to showcase their missions and engage with donors. So it's important to join some activities, some conferences, some other events to see or some opportunities for donors. The role of donor testimonials. This is also important. And the content covers using testimonials to build trust. And details of this, featuring donor testimonials enhances credibility. Organizations like Doctors Without Borders showcase stories from donors, encouraging new supporters to engage. So when the donors see themselves on public eye, in that case, they will feel that their contributions are really important and matter for the organizations they contribute. So they will maybe they will contribute more and they will give more donations in future. Also, this showcase will affect other potential donors as well. And case study, for example, Save the Children, the content successful donor engagement practices. And details of this: Save the Children uses storytelling and transparent communication to engage donors. Their annual reports highlight the impact of the contributions, fostering a strong connection with supporters. Engaging local communities is also important for engaging donors. And the content grassroots engagement strategies. Details involving local communities enhances donor engagement. Initiatives by Oxfam in community fundraising events have shown to strengthen ties with local donors. Sustainability in donor relationships. The content covers strategies for long-term engagement, and details of this. Building sustainable relationship involves continuous communication and opportunities for involvement. The Red Cross maintains long-term relationship through regular updates and engagement opportunities. So sustainability is also important in donor engagement. Creating a donor recognition program. You can also create a kind of program like that. The content covers steps to develop a recognition program, and the details of this outline the steps for establishing a recognition program. Organizations like the Salvation Army celebrate donor contribution through awards and public acknowledgement. So this is a kind of donor recognition program. It's an example for that. Navigating donor attrition, and the content is that understanding why donors leave. So you should maybe prevent why donors leave. Details: analyzing donor attrition helps identify areas for improvement. The Royal Society for the Protection of Birds examines donor feedback to implement strategies for retaining supporters. So it's important not to lose your donors. So you must prevent their leaving, their left. The impact of global events on donor behavior. For example, the content covers here analyzing trends post-COVID-19. The details of this. The COVID-19 pandemic altered charitable giving patterns. Many organizations like Crisis UK adapted their strategies to address the immediate needs of vulnerable populations. So you should reanalyze your strategies according to the global events, global situations. Conclusion of this, key takeaways from engaging donors, this lesson covers. Details: donor engagement is crucial for sustainability. Strong relationships lead to increased loyalty and recurring contributions. Emphasizing effective communication and transparency enhances donors' trust is the conclusion of this lesson. And today the lesson is over. What we studied or we had today is that engaging donor and building relationships. So we just focused on engaging donors in part A. So in the part B, we will continue to talk about engaging donors and building relationships. Today, we have just finished our lesson, and we will see you in the next lesson. And until we meet again, have a good day. Thank you for your attention. Thank you a lot.